What's going on, everybody? I'm Josh with Combat Sports Today. I'm joined tonight by Logan Wolverine Paxton. How's it going, my man?
It's going good. Thanks for having me on.
I got to give you a huge congratulations on that win at APFC 21. That was a super quick finish, man. I mean, was that kind of what you were expecting the fight to be? And could you walk us through that finishing sequence from your perspective?
Yeah, of course. Well, first off, thank you for the congratulations. I really do appreciate it. It's when you go into a fight, you never want to try too hard to predict the outcome because you just you don't want to set yourself up for failure and that kind of thing. But I really did have a good feeling that I was gonna be able to finish this one in the first round, and also by the way I did via the right hand. It's something me and my coach were working on for the past few weeks. Once we got this fight announced, I have a great coach in Ryan Salisbury, and he really just broke down RJ Hoyt really well. And we noticed that when he was on his back foot and you laid the pressure on, he tended to leave his hands or arms extended and kind of lift his chin in the air a little bit. So honestly, the amount of times I threw right hands at his the pads of my coach was in the hundreds. So we definitely got that locked in.
It looked like you and RJ kind of had you guys talked a little bit after the fight while, they were waiting on the official announcement to happen.
Sure.
Is that something you're open to share? Or is that something you kind of want to just kind of keep between you two?
Oh no, of course. I mean, I to be honest, the moment is so the adrenaline's so high and the parameters are so big. It's kind of hard to remember exactly what was said between us, but I could see and I understood it. Having lost once myself, it's pretty bitter. It's when you lose and in front of a big station crowd like that, you can definitely take it pretty harsh. And I noticed, he was kind of not thinking that was the correct stoppage, even though I had other, reasons to think it was. But I just went over to him and said, "Hey, man, like I know it sucks how this went down and lose and all that, but I do respect the hell out of you because I've had for this past camp I had hundreds opponents say no. Like my manager, he even shared some of them, and we had it was one of the toughest camps to go through because I had opponent changes. Just everyone was saying no, or they wanted too much, just more money than it was worth for the organization. So we just had a hard time. So for someone like RJ to step up on 3 weeks notice and be willing to fight me, I just told him, hey man, I respect the hell of you. No bad blood. It's all love. Let's train together. And he was pissed off, but he said, yeah, right back at you. And he was like he was most upset because he wanted to land at least one shot on me, but he didn't get to.
Yeah, I mean, that's, completely understandable, especially
Yeah,
from, you guys' perspective as a fighter, nobody likes to lose in things, that isn't as serious as fighting, especially as a career or anything.
exactly.
But, from a fan's perspective that, kind of watched the fight, it seemed like the right call to me.
Yeah,
Just throwing my
oh, sorry.
2 cents, it doesn't mean anything really in the grand scheme of things.
Well, a funny little aside, and maybe I'm sharing too much, but I actually ran into him again after the fight at the casino, and he was like, man, I was pissed off in the moment, but then he was like, I thought I literally got hit, and then I got immediately back up. He was like, when I went back and watched it, I didn't even know I got hit, like 15 more times. So he was like, all right, I guess it was a fair stoppage.
You spoke about it, and early in your career, you had that setback against Jacoby Jones.
Yes,
Looking
sir.
back at that now, what kind of growth did that moment, kind of spark in you as a fighter?
It's good you touch on that because it's kind of a double-edged sword kind of moment to where no one wants to lose, and especially early on in your career when you're just getting things going and starting out. I will say, and I heard other fighters say similar things. The ones that bounce back from losses, it's a very pivotal point in your career because it really does. It brings you have to go internal. You can't just, if you don't, then you can't. You're gonna probably lose again, or you're not gonna work on yourself and figure out, well, what went wrong. And so I will say that moment definitely did bring me closer to myself in a way where I had to really kind of dig deep and ask myself those hard questions about, what went wrong, what could I have done better, how do we get through this, all those kind of things. And I will, obviously since then, I took some time leading up. I took about a year off after that. I just really focused on my mental game, getting over the loss, coming back, just getting better. And ever since, I've just kind of hit the ground running. And now I'm on a 9 fight win streak with, I believe, 8 finishes in a row. So it definitely brought, I think, the best out of me. And it also just brought the best fighter out of me because leading up to that fight, I was still very green to fighting. You know, I wrestled Division 1 in college, so I had plenty of experience with competing, but fighting's a whole nother animal. And sometimes the magnitude of the moment can get the better of you. So, I mean, my first few fights, I remember maybe 10% of them. You know, you kind of black out sometimes, you do, because the adrenaline hits you. And even in the Jacoby fight, I'll be honest, I remember maybe the last couple minutes of that fight, you know, the not much of it. So I realized that I couldn't allow that to keep happening if I wanted to continue and be the best fighter I wanted to be. I had to be as present as possible. So I did some, you know, my own mental coaching and stuff like that, just taking time and understanding why that happens. And I've never been more present and just more focused and more aware in that cage than I am now, to where I'm almost too present sometimes, to where I'm in the back room where I'm almost yawning sometimes because I'm making myself like not get overwhelmed by that moment.
I mean, it's, definitely showing the improvement. Like you said, you're rattled up, you're on a huge, incredible streak, and from your perspective, is that something, lessons that you'd rather, looking back, that you'd rather learn early in your career as opposed to later on in your career?
No, that's a great question, and I think there's two sides of it. Definitely, I would say, you know, because of even how my experience has gone, I would say early in my career, just because when it happens later in your career, when you're on the bigger shows, sometimes I feel like that can just take, you know, right now if I was 10-0 and then I went and lost, I feel like that would set me back. You know, further from the UFC or you know, my ultimate goals of being in the UFC, just because right now is the you know, when I'm starting to get a lot of the traction, a lot of the, you know, the big organizations, and you know, I'm calling out my shots because my record's so deep and I'm having these finishes, to where if I was to throw up a loss or fumble right now, then I think it would set me back further in the eyes of the UFC, just because they have so much talent now. But when you're kind of, you know, 1-0, 2-0 early on in your career, even if you're a prospect, the UFC isn't quite as fixated on you because you just have more to prove, and you have more time before you're on the contender series, all those things. And I'll be honest, with my loss in particular, it wasn't quite at, you know, it hurt bad. Like it was one of the lowest darkest points of my life. It does, always hurts. But the one thing that helped me kind of get through it was, and I still do, is going back and watching that fight. I do think I won the fight, and I thought it was more of a poor judge's decision. And I've gotten the same kind of feedback from a lot of my coaches and just people in the fighting industry who I respect their opinion, who wouldn't just tell me that. So not having thought I still did win the fight, even though it wasn't my best performance, I think that helped me kind of mentally coach myself through it and kind of be like, okay, I lost, but I don't think I was beat.
Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of while we're talking about, things, prior in your career going to catch up, some new fans that, maybe coming across you for the first time, or catching up people that may coming back into the fray or what have you.
Hmm.
You turned pro back in, I think, 2019.
Yes,
Since
sir.
then, like we mentioned, you've gone 10-1. I believe you have a 90% finish rate in that. You snagged the solid as a rock 170 title in there, and currently you're 2-0 in APFC. All this and most of this just this year. What's fueling this, run with the APFC run, snagging that title, all that?
Yeah, I think because one thing that was not very fortuitous for me early on in my career was injuries. Basically, I had to change how I trained a little bit and just be a little smarter, because in between my pro debut, getting that win, 2 months later, I was in a training accident and actually tore my ACL and meniscus completely off. And I actually that's why there's a little bit of a sideline in my career of inactive fighting, because I had to take about 2 years off, healing my ACL and my meniscus, getting a complete reconstruction. And it was also during COVID, which was kind of nice. So then the whole world was kind of taking time off.
Yeah.
But I realized, and then I actually injured my knees a couple more times after that with LCL, MCL. I've torn just about every ligament in my knees. So eventually, I had to realize I kind of had to switch up how I trained and just be a little smarter about it, and also take my recovery just a lot more serious. And doing that allowed me to just kind of stay in the training room longer, plan fights more. And then I also had to make two more adjustments. I decided to fight up a weight class. So if you notice on my record, I've been fighting at welterweight a lot, and then I actually even fought at 185 once in Alaska, for another promotion, just because that was on a 3 days notice. And so that
Wow.
was and my mindset was, a lot of times in fighting, as fighters, we like to go out there, have the long training camp. We have our big moment, we win, but then we want to take time off. And we want to just, kind of sit back and kind of reap the rewards of what we did. But in my mind, if I'm not injured and I feel good, I need to be training and I need to be fighting as consistent as possible, because you really can't only do this sport for so long, until, life catches up to you, or there's injuries. So at about, I'd say 2 3 years back, I kind of had this switch in my mentality, to be like, okay, if I'm healthy, I'm gonna fight. If I'm healthy, I'm gonna train as much as possible. So I think last year I had about 5 fights last year, now already 3 this year. So I really kind of skyrocketed the trajectory of my career these last 2 years.
Knee injuries are probably one of the worst things. I had a knee injury in my life and had to have my meniscus removed and some
Yes,
tendons and things cut to realign my kneecap. Got moved out of like socket or something. They
oh,
said I don't know.
nasty
Yeah, but
stuff.
yeah, like I'm right there with you. Like knee things are just terrible and like just set you so far back.
They
Honestly,
do.
it's I don't think people really understand how significant knee injuries really are in like the grand scheme of just life in general.
Yeah, 100%. It's unfortunate, and I realize, if I want to keep being as the top level of fighting, I have to just kind of just. I still train really hard. It's just I train smarter. I'm not putting myself in those weird positions. I'm kind of more like mentally aware if my knee's in a bad place, to where, like, okay, maybe I need to kind of give up that position, or like I need to switch it and then work out, and then also recovery, like you said. So definitely just switching with my training mentality.
Yeah, and it's and kind of telling into this, we mentioned, you're 2-0 in APFC. What was about that promotion that kind of drew you in? And this last fight, I believe, was at 160 pound catch weight,
Hmm.
maybe. Are you kind of looking at a permanent move back down, since you talked about the various weight classes, back down to 155 permanently?
Yes, sir. So APFC kind of got on my radar. I was trying to fight for them about a year ago, just because I got offered an opponent, and we were kind of going back and forth. Eventually, the opponent dropped out, but then they got on my radar. I didn't realize Anthony Pettis also, was APFC, also was Showtime. And so after talking with them a little bit, my management, the company I was with, they were kind of dropping the ball for me a little bit, and I felt like they didn't have the right connections. So I basically, I was on this kind of winning streak, but then I just realized, you know, I'm getting close. I feel like I'm knocking on the door of these bigger promotions. For me, it's UFC or bust. And so I kind of was looking at my management, and they kind of had promised me a lot of things, of like that they had the connections, that they were talking to the Dana White, the Sean Shelby's, but I never saw proof of it. So it kind of gave me a little bit of like, okay, how far, skyrocketing my career. How far can I go until this holds me back? And so I started looking to management a little bit, and then I started realizing that, Showtime was a new management company kind of coming up with some good fighters. They also had APFC, which is a platform. So I thought it'd be pretty. It just made sense to reach out to them, see if they're interested in managing me, the Showtime Group, and then also, because they have APFC as their platform with UFC Fight Pass, I figured, what a better way to get your than for your management company to be able to put you onto a UFC Fight Pass show. And that's kind of exactly what happened, is that they saw me and they saw my potential. They signed me, and then this past year I've gotten 2 fights with them on APFC, and they've been honestly nothing but just great people to work with. Anthony Pettis, Dame Rodriguez, Sergio Pinheiro. These are the managers I work with, and they've been great to me. Wanting to put me on these shows, and now that I kind of have a really good fan base with Albuquerque specifically, I've gotten a lot of fans, and because I've gotten two really highlight finishes back to back. I'm starting to become a fan favorite, and I actually just saw today on Tapology, I'm the number one ranked lightweight in New Mexico. So I could see myself fighting there again.
Awesome, man. It's always good to hear that about promotions taking care of fighters. That's
It's a great show. It's a great show, and they run a tight ship, and the way they kind of have their own little like flavor of doing things differently. With the fight kits and stuff like that, and bringing in some of these big names, like they had Gable Stevens, Wing C on this last show. So they're really trying to stand out from the mix, and I respect that because I want to align myself with managements, with coaches, with his friends and people, everyone that's aspiring to be the best in their field. And I think I'm starting to get that together.
yeah, absolutely. And just from a fan's perspective, APFC is, a top-notch promotion, always fun to watch. And
Awesome. I love hearing that.
I gotta ask, you probably get this more often than you probably like to get and explain, but it's a super dope nickname. What's the story behind the Wolverine?
No, maybe it's my ego. I don't know, but I love telling it. So, no, so obviously my name's Logan Paxton. So even from a kid, watching the X-Men, I've always been, anyone will agree, Wolverine's the best X-Men. So as a kid, just growing up watching him, I always kind of had just a want to kind of be like that. I like this character, but then even as I started my MMA journey, the gyms I'd go to, people would just call me, oh, what's up, Wolverine? Just kind of being funny and passing. So when I moved out to Colorado about 4 or 5 years ago, the whole gym was calling me Wolverine, just as kind of because like I don't know if it's my fighting style is a little more aggressive, but also because the name and all those things. And I was like, that's badass. Like it's cool. I like to you, but I was like, I kind of want to be my own larger than life character. I don't want to just take the alias of something that's already established. So I started kind of just thinking a little bit, kind of scheming a little bit, and I started just kind of saying, one night I was just sitting to myself, I was just kind of saying Wolverine, just kind of saying it to myself, and I was like Warverine, and I was like Warverine, that's badass. I was like, there's something there. And I kind of just kept saying it over and over again in my head and out loud to kind of see if it'd stick. And I was like, no, that just makes too much sense with fighting and the Wolverine together. I kind of can like combine the two to create my own character, and it really fits because now I have the whole team, and just people I meet, everyone loves calling me the Wolverine. So it worked.
Yeah, like I said, it's a super dope nickname, so I had to get the origin stories. And I don't know
Yeah,
if you have any merch or T-shirts that are out there. If you do, please send me the link in the Instagram chat. If you do, would
dude,
love to
that'd be
snag one
sweet.
of those.
So it's funny you mentioned that. I have two different companies I'm going to be working with, and kind of going back and forth to see what they can do. And I'm going to start doing some, Wolverine t-shirts and designs, stuff like that. And then my girlfriend, she's one of my biggest helpers and fans, supporters. So she's like, oh, you got to get stickers out there. You got to start getting some cool actual some t-shirts, some hoodies. And so we're going to be working on all the merchandise, either leading up to this next fight or just in the meantime.
You kind of said possibly another fight's coming up, but as we head into the next year, what's the plan? Is it a contender series 2026 on the radar, or just kind of keeping it simple, stacking those wins on Tapology?
The with me, it's like I want to fight damn near every other month. Like, it's like, I literally took zero damage with this fight. Uh, I was even almost a little bit like, I loved how the fight went. It was an amazing knockout, but I almost wanted more of a fight. So I'm left like, I kind of want to fight again soon. But everyone around me is telling me I need to take a little bit of a break. I need, maybe take at least till the New Year's, take the rest of the year, enjoy myself, and, kind of just, settle down a little bit. I will say, I think I'm at the point of my career to where I do belong in the UFC. I think my record speaks for it. I think it is deep enough, and with the finishes, it's exactly what they're looking for. I do know I'm in tough weight classes, 155, 170. There's so much saturation with people, so I do know it can kind of take a little bit longer. So I'd say if I had to look at this next year and how I see it going, I'd say Worst best case is contender series, like you said, in 26. I think I would be a no brainer to get on that. Obviously, I would much rather do the short notice. So if anybody needed a fill in spot in one of the cards leading up to it, I would be the first to jump at it. No, I need notice, and I would make it happen. And if for some reason that doesn't happen, then I think I got wind. I don't know for sure, so don't quote me on it. But I got wind that there might be another Albuquerque card for APFC in March. And obviously, with being the number one ranked guy, I think either a title, taking the title lightweight, or if they're not doing a title, then just getting another fight, but most likely at 155 this time. I've been wanting to make my way back down because that's where I'll have my home in the UFC is at lightweight. So I figure even this one was kind of a test to see how my body would react because it's been so long, and that's why I was a 160 catch weight. But yeah, I felt great and performed good, so that'll be my home next time.
We're definitely, ready to see you back in, but in a fight that obviously makes sense for where
Sure.
you are at in your career. Like you said, you're right there on the cusp of getting into the UFC. And you kind of already, explained this, but, you're on a 9 fight streak, mostly finishes, and that pretty much speaks for itself. But if the UFC brass is potentially tuning in right now, what's a promo or message you have for them?
Yeah, it's honestly just that I think my record, the way I fight, it does speak for itself. I feel like you have a lot of guys who are trying to just to call their shots, when they get the chance, and maybe they deserve it too. But in my case, it's my record and what I've done, what I've amassed, how often I fight, how many weight classes I fought in. I don't think there's many guys who are fighting, middleweight, welterweight, and lightweight, all within the same couple of
Yeah.
years. So I think I'm versatile. I can do it all. I can short notice. I can, no notice. I can fill the spot because I'll fight any weight class, any person, anytime. So I think that makes me special in that case because there's nothing holding me back from getting the UFC.
And I just got a few things that's, kind of outside the fighting realm in a sense that kind of, show more of a personality besides all the highlights that, you're putting out there that,
Yeah,
people are knowing you from.
definitely.
While we were chatting, you kind of mentioned that you're walking the dogs. I gotta know, what are their names and what type of dogs are running your household?
Oh, so we have two crazy mutts. We got my so it's mine and my girlfriend's dogs. My dog's name is Wix, like John Wick, and he is a cattle dog mostly mixed with I'd like to say possum maybe. Yeah, no, so no, he's a cattle dog, but he kind of has the look of a possum sometimes. So I don't know, but he's a bunch of other good stuff. I don't know his full mix. I got him from a shelter. He's a great boy. He's 5 years old, and he's cow dog, so he's just constantly going. Loves to hike with me. And then my girlfriend's dog, her dog's name is Battle. And she's intense. She's the most like person or cuddly, like chill dog when she wants to be. But then if you put a ball in front of her or food, her prey drive goes to the roof. And because she's a Belgian Malinois, so she has that full on drive. Um, yeah, and they're both around the same age, 5 years old, same weight almost. So they just go at it all day.
Yeah. I love to hear that. I'm a huge dog person. My wife and I we have two dogs. We have a basset hound and then a Jack Weenie mix, who we
Okay,
also
nice.
refer to as our little crackhead. He has the worst traits of like both of those mixes.
It's
He's
always
just
the
I'm
the little
surprised he
dogs.
didn't scream.
It's always those little dogs that just they you gotta watch out for them.
He just loves to scream. He loves to be known. The
Yeah.
world must know he exists. So, I
Uh-huh.
had to ask about your dogs because we're a dog person, and my wife would absolutely kill me if I didn't
I love it.
didn't
What what
ask.
what 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 are their names?
The Jack Weenie is named Fig, and the Basset Hound, I don't know if you can see the little picture of her back here. I still got to get
Oh, yep.
another one of Fig. Her name is Jolie.
Jolie. I love it.
Yeah, and
Those
like I
cute
said, we're
names.
huge dog people, so I had to ask.
No, no, great. Us too. I literally, I just took them for an 8 mile hike yesterday, and I was out walking them for an hour today. So they need all the attention. Yeah, eventually, it's definitely going to be the farm life with as many dogs as possible.
Oh man, that is the absolute dream right there.
You and me both.
And given the holiday seasons, kind of coming up with Thanksgiving, literally tomorrow, if you could have a meal, Thanksgiving or just, a meal with, any three people, alive or dead, who's going to be at that table and what are you guys going to be eating?
Ooh, good question. Hmm. I think I gotta pick. The first one comes to my head would be Joe Rogan. I'd like to. I feel like that you're gonna have some really interesting conversations with him at the table.
Oh yeah.
Uh, um, Gotta go Joe Rogan. Um, I think I. I mean, I gotta go with my girlfriend because she's an amazing cook. And she's sitting right next to me, so she'd probably hit me if I just said otherwise. And then third, I think it's a tough one. I think I'd have to go. I think Bill Murray. I think I'd go with Bill Murray.
Ooh.
I like me some good Bill Murray movies, and he just seems like a really just funny, down to earth. Has some good wisdoms you can share, and I think that I know Bill Murray's even been on Rogan's podcast, so I think that'd be a really good mix.
I
And
mean,
what we
that's a
eat, I
solid
mean,
choice.
I'd have to. I mean, right now I haven't had it yet, so it's just on my mind. I know Thanksgiving's tomorrow, but after every fight, I am fiending for pizza. I love me a good pizza after a fight, and I haven't had it yet, so I think I would need some of the best pizza in front of us for that conversation.
I mean, those are some solid choices of picks and, smart of picking the significant other, especially and they're in the same room with you as you.
I'm glad you understand.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, luckily, my wife's not in the room with me, so she's not, able to hit me just yet. She'll hit me when she watches this, when it
There you
comes out
go.
on YouTube soon. And being the pizza guy you are, I always have to ask this. Pineapple, sin or acceptable?
So, I'm just gonna say I am from California originally, and I don't know if that changes anything, but I just feel like we're a little weirder over there. Um, I don't think it counts as pizza, but I think it is delicious. It is delicious though. So I've one of my favorite pizzas I used to have growing up when I was or in high school stuff like that. I always order from Domino's. I'd get the barbecue sauce with the chicken, the bacon, and some
Ooh.
pineapple on it. Oh my god, it doesn't give me that full on pizza satisfaction, but it was a damn good whatever it was.
Yeah, see, I'm a pineapple on pizza guy myself. My
Yeah.
wife and her family, they're also from California, but ironically, they say it's a sin. They hate it, don't try it. They judge me every time we're out. Like it's honestly probably at the point they're ready to ask me to go sit at another table if I'm going to order a pineapple on pizza.
They,
They just have this look of shame.
No, I would eat with you, man. It's delicious. It tastes
Thank you.
like how could you not? I mean, it works. It does work under the right circumstances. But I do, I know there's a lot of I was gonna say a lot of East Coast people. They'd probably roll in their eyes too because it's just they have their traditions over there. I'm just into good food. If it tastes good, I'm gonna eat it. But I do think a good
Thank
pepperoni
you.
or just cheese pizza like that hits that like that nostalgic craving for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't go wrong with just a pepperoni, but and you have to be in the mood for the pineapple on pizza. It's not a every time you get pizza thing to me. It's
No,
just, every now and again, if I haven't had it in a while, I'm not ashamed to order it.
I'm with you. Yeah, no, let the freak flag fly.
Absolutely. I'm glad you agree with me. So,
Now,
everybody that's watching this, my in-laws, wife, everybody, more people do enjoy pineapple on pizza. It's not just me.
nope, no, you have good taste, brother.
I appreciate that. And just kind of going into things, what's one skill, hobby, or talent that's kind of outside of fighting that, people wouldn't expect from you?
Um, wouldn't expect. I'd say I mean, my biggest hobby, what I do time, and honestly, it's honestly what people are most freaked out when they see my Instagram page is the hiking and rock climbing I do. uh it's funny because like my day job is fighting, and then I have other fighters and other people messaging me like, are you insane, when they see like the footage of some of the mountains I climb. Because I'm in Colorado, and we have like we could the biggest mountains out there are called 14ers. They're all above 14,000 feet. And me and one of my teammates from my main training partners, John Kuhneman, we literally go out and we climb. I've climbed 50 of them. There's 58 total, and just for cardio, just for fun. It's, sometimes we've literally been hiking for about 17 hours straight, throughout the night, like starting at 11 p.m., getting in the car at 9 a.m., that kind of stuff. And um, they're tough, and like they're really exposed sometimes to where you're walking on razor thin rock ledges, to where one step you're falling thousands of feet, no rope. So it's strenuous, and it's all these things, but it's such good mental fortitude and cardio for fighting, because and it just pays so many dividends as a parent in my fights, I think. But then eventually I started really falling in love with rock climbing. And then so I go out with one of my buddies, Dave Hebel. Me and him go out and we climb mountains, like actually vertical climbing with rope. And I actually just climbed the Grand Tetons last year. And then I'm so like, and that's full on rope climbing. So I think my love for it just keeps going, to where I'm starting to get into more kind of sketchy stuff, to where I'm not using rope when I climb and stuff like that. So um, just pushing the limits of outdoors, adventures. I think that's one of the biggest uh, things people want to know about me, but I love it.
Yeah, I've seen some of the Instagram posts, and I'm not afraid of heights, and I do want to get into hiking, but some of those posts, it's kind of like you said, people are like, are you crazy to be doing some of those things?"
Yeah, I mean, I think you gotta have some flavor of craziness or autism to fight and climb mountains like this. So whatever my flavor is, it's keeping me going.
Hey, but it makes for great stories for the future generations, and just friends, families, and for you joining people like me on a YouTube channel. It makes for
Yeah,
great stories.
yeah, and it's fun, because when people see that, when I've through that I've made a lot of great connections. Like actually, Gray Maynard actually hit me and my buddy
Oh
up
wow.
John, just because he saw we were climbing these mountains and he always wanted to. He hit us up, and we actually took him and his buddy out on his first ever 14.
Oh wow.
He came over to our house for dinner. We all sat around and watched the UFC fights, and it was so strange just how that moment worked out. But that night, us all sitting around, just meeting Gray Maynard, lifelong fan. When I first started watching it, he's sitting at my dinner table. We're watching the UFC fights, and literally Edgar is getting inducted into the Hall of Fame for his fight with Gray Maynard. And so it was just such a strange, like, it almost seemed like it was supposed to happen that way. But I was like, what is this? I was like, literally, I was like, it wasn't through fighting that I meet Gray Maynard. It's through my love of mountain climbing. And I was like, it's so strange how the world works. But just like that, like, me, we've taken Corey Sandhagen up a mountain, and getting to know all these fighters, and like another way just to get out and have fun. It's been really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds super awesome, and like, it sounds super intriguing. So maybe if I'm ever, I don't know what part of Colorado you are in, because that's a
Yeah.
pretty large state. I'm in Texas. So,
Okay.
I do make my way up to Colorado every so often. Maybe,
Yeah.
I can join you on a beginner
Hyundai.
climber hike.
Yeah, I'll make sure you get back in one piece.
Yeah, my wife will definitely appreciate it, or, we need to let her know ahead of time to up the life insurance. Gonna have to
100%.
erase this for any insurance
Uh-huh.
purposes. This part's gonna have to be eliminated, but, whatever.
Yeah, a little asterisk. I will say, and I'm just saying, just so you know, I tend to be the riskier one of me and my buddy John. He's definitely the more like, he will, he plans the routes. He's making sure we get up and down safe. I'm the guy that's like, I think this rock looks fun to climb. I think we should go this way. And so I'll do my best, but I will say I definitely am a little bit of the risk taker.
What's life without, risks?
Yes,
You can't
I
always
do.
play it safe. Some of the best things in life come from taking risks
I
and,
couldn't agree
kind of
more.
telling into your mountain climbing, rock climbing, hiking. What's probably, the most photogenic place that you've discovered so far?
Mm, great question. I'll say one of my favorite mountain towns first I've been to is Durango. It's about 5 hours south, kind of towards New Mexico. Awesome town. I'd say that's also one of my most memorable experiences, is that me and my buddy John, I was talked about, we took a train ride actually into these mountains, where it just spits you out into this canyon or valley, about 40 miles out. You just get dropped off. There's no other way back unless you want to hike 40 miles back to town. And then you hike about 10 more miles into this valley, called Chicago Basin. And then all around this basin is four different 14ers. And so basically, for about 4 days, we just spent the whole time hiking the different mountains around it, and then you have to make it back to your allotted train time. And if you don't, you're stuck for a couple days. Like you're stuck. So it was one of the most like memorable experiences because you really just felt like you were out there, the train ride, and just how gorgeous the basin was, the camping. It was one of the most unforgettable experiences. Then I will say my favorite hike though, my just day hike was the Maroon Bells. The Colorado is known for its wildflowers and stuff like that, and just the Maroon Bells themselves are such iconic mountains. We went out there and we hiked those bad boys, and then just the picturesque the two mountains looming over the lake and all the wildflowers was one of the most unforgettable kind of views I've ever seen.
Yeah, that sounds, absolutely awesome. So, again, maybe if I'm up there, if my wife's up there, I can, pick your brain on some easy, things
Yeah,
to do while we're up around that area, making our way around the state.
100%. I used to live in the mountains more, but now I'm back in Denver, kind of the Denver metro area. So I'll be around. And when I took Gray Maynard up a mountain and Corey, we took them up. They got back down safe, and they everything was okay. So I promise you, we'll do the same for you.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it. And I just got one last, kind of thing for you before I let you go for the evening.
Sure.
Do you got any, family, loved ones, sponsors you want to give a quick shout out to real quick? And
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad you asked. I mean, first of all, as you probably have heard with other fighters, it really does take a village to get to the fight night. I put all the work in that I do, but on when it comes to fight week, things have to go right. And having my significant other, Sapphire, she's amazing, and she's a nurse. So she takes care of me and makes sure everything was going right. So I do have to give her all the props for making my fight week go so smoothly. And then my coach Ryan Salisbury, he's I think one of the most brilliant upcoming minds for MMA. I think he's gonna be the next Trevor Whitman. He's just so smart, and he's just the way he analyzes film and the way he holds pads. He's just really special. And honestly, this past weight cut was really hard for me too. I had to cut 18 pounds and I had to in 6 hours for this one. While I was already I started at 184, so I was already dieting for 2 weeks. Got down 6 pounds. I cut 18 pounds in a sauna, and it took me about 6 hours. I don't think I could have done it without that man because he was literally getting me on and off the scale. I couldn't walk at some points. It was getting so bad. So
sheesh.
got to thank him for that. And then as far as sponsors go, I have a lot of ones I've been working with for this past fight, and they've been really awesome to me. Little Arthur's Hoagies, it's a great Philly cheesesteak spot that does pizzas in Colorado, and they've taken great care of me and sponsored me. And then also, I'm gonna do my celebratory meal there actually, and get that pizza we are talking about here soon. And then also Grazely, they're a beef brisket company. They do like it's like beef brisket slabs to where they're air dried, and they package them, and they do like meat, beef, and salt. So it's as clean as ingredients as you can get. And me, somebody who's a pro athlete, I really do prioritize my protein, and having just such clean quality ingredients that I can eat on the go in between training sessions and keep my body sustained and fueled. It's invaluable. So I really got to give a good shout out to Grazely because their products are phenomenal, and they really are helping me achieve that next level of recovery and just overall athletic performance.
Awesome, man. It sounds, like you said, it does take a village, and it sounds like you got a tremendous village around you. And I am looking forward to coming back to Colorado, not only to look at some cool mountains with you, but also to check out that Philly cheesesteak pizza place you just mentioned. I'm a huge foodie, so
Oh,
I
you and me
always got to
both.
check out the food scene.
What do you say? What do you say? You come out here. We'll go up a mountain, and then we'll celebrate with some Little Arthur's hoagies afterwards.
Oh, that sounds like an absolute game plan to
I, I
me.
I love it. Yeah, those are my two favorite things. So sign me up too.
Yeah, man, I'll absolutely let you know next time I'm in the area. And if you ever find your way in the San Antonio area, just let me know. I'll definitely, we can meet up for some food, or I can, just shoot you over some food recommendations. Because, like I said, I'm a huge foodie, so
Same.
got to
Literally,
make sure I know the good food game.
that's all I think about on fight week is just where I'm going to eat, what I'm going to get. So I couldn't pass up some good barbecue, brother.
Awesome, man. And looking forward to seeing some awesome fight announcements coming from you soon. And like I said, I don't want to keep you too much of your time, given Thanksgiving's tomorrow. So I appreciate you taking the time out speaking with us. And
Yeah, of course. And likewise, happy holidays and thank you for your time. I appreciate you putting me on. I'm always happy to do these kind of interviews and just both us get our names out there.
appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment who you want to see us interview on Combat Sports Today.